Tonight on Saturday Night News.
TV 47. This is Saturday Night News, and these are some of the stories making headlines tonight.
Tonight on Saturday Night News. Uproar after a video of a woman giving birth in the streets outside Pumwani Maternity Hospital when health workers were on go-slow surfaces. Mount Kenya MPs deny they regrouped on Friday in search for the region's presidential candidate as President Kenyatta enters the final 2 years of his tenure. And it's a race against time for parties and presidential candidates with BBI and 2022 general elections topping the agenda. And it's good news for Kenya as Mombasa beaches record little amounts of garbage on a coastal cleanup day exercise.
A very warm welcome. My name is MOMBASA. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Faith Cheptile. Now, a viral video of a woman giving birth outside Pumwani Maternity Hospital after being denied entry by a security guard has caused a public outcry, with many condemning the inhumane act. Now, the drama resulted from health workers being on a go-slow following delayed salaries. Zainab Mohammed with the details.
The viral video allegedly recorded on the 13th of September is of a woman struggling with labor pains, surrounded by cries for help amidst her screams. The woman is said to have arrived at the hospital seeking delivery assistance, but was denied entry into the hospital due to a health workers' strike. The woman, burdened with pain, is then said to opt to lay down right outside the gates of the hospital, where she ended up delivering her baby. The video now sparking a public outcry from various stakeholders who have come out to condemn the inhumane act. Officials of the Federation of Women Lawyers Kenya, FIDA, expressing their utter disbelief at the failure of the hospital's management to offer help to the poor mother minutes after the incident began.
It's disturbing to witness the ill treatment of a mother who was evidently in distress outside the biggest maternity public hospital in Nairobi. What excuse is there for a mother to deliver unassisted on the tarmac? Why would the gates of such an important health facility that offers maternity care to thousands of women in this country be locked? Had the woman experienced a complication, wouldn't we have been speaking of a loss of life that could have been avoided?
We all wonder then what happens to the most other counties in this country, the other marginalized and remote counties of our country, if this is happening in the capital, that a mother in this day and age will deliver on a street.
National Assembly Health Committee Chair Sabina Chege has also expressed displeasure over the act, calling on necessary actions to be taken against the hospital and its management.
Major General Badi, tungemuomba kwa heshima apeane explanation na watu wa Pumwani management. Kwa nini yule mama alifika pale? Tunataka kujua hiyo gari ilikuwa ya nani ile iliweka mama barabara. Na kwa nini watu wanapiga nduru hata unapata hakuna hata askari ambao wangefungua yule mlango?
Nairobi Metropolitan Services has released a statement of regret, offering an apology to all Kenyans and mothers in particular for the unfortunate incident that came about as a result of the strike by health workers due to the partial shutdown of county services. The message of regret came a day after the video went viral. Never mind, the same message admits that the incident happened 6 days ago. Zainab Mohammed, TV 47.
A really unfortunate incident there. Now, ODM leader Raila Odinga has once again slammed those opposed to constitutional amendments through the BBI process. Now, Raila now says the BBI reggae is back and no one will stand in its way. Now, this event as mixed reactions continue to rock the BBI report as a section of politicians question the recommendations in it. Eli Lagova reports.
That was interrupted by the coronavirus pandemic is back.
In the discussion for BBI, we are going to have an intelligent and intellectual debate about what we want to make out of Kenya.
Elsewhere, NC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, who is eyeing the 2022 presidency, together with his brigade, took their popularization campaigns to Kajiado County in a bid to win the Maasai votes ahead of the 2022 general elections. Mudavadi calling for an issue-based constitutional amendments.
Mwito wangu kwa Wakenya nikisimama kati ya sherehe ya heshima ya Wamasai ni kusema kwamba ikiwa tutabadilisha katiba ama ikiwa tutakuwa na mjadala wa kubadilisha katiba, jameni, tusilete mjadala ambao utagawanya Wakenya, ama tusilete mjadala ambao utaweza wale viongozi peke yao kupata manufaa, lakini mwananchi wa kawaida aanze kuangamia.
Mudavadi's close allies urge President Uhuru Kenyatta to consider supporting the ANC leader come 2022.
Raundi hii tumeomba Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, kwa sababu na retire, support your brother Musalia Mudavadi.
Eli Logova, TV47.
And still on politics, Mount Kenya MPs insist that the meeting they held yesterday at the Thika Greens was for deliberating development issues of the region, unlike speculation that it was to discuss President Uhuru Kenyatta's succession. Now, Gatundu Member of Parliament Moses Kuria rubbished the succession narrative, saying Mount Kenya region has the right to meet without explanations to anyone.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's succession talks seem to have commenced in the Mount Kenya region. Already over 50 members of parliament from the region having met Friday in a forum convened by Interior PS Karanja Kibicho, though Gatundu Member of Parliament Moses Kuria rubbished the narrative.
22 itakuja na itaenda. Lakini mimi nasema katika mambo ambayo tulikuwa tunazungumzia huko Thika jana, mambo ambayo tunazungumzia huko Thika Ijumaa ijayo, mambo ambayo tutazungumzia huko Thika wiki mbili zijazo, hazina lolote kuhusiana mambo ya 22. Na hatutachanganya. Na mimi kama mimi Moses Kuria sitaruhusu mambo ya 22 iweze kuingia katikati ya sisi kupanga mambo yetu ya kaunti, mambo ya kiuchumi, mambo ya kutumia milango ambayo iko kwa serikali sasa hii.
The agenda of the meeting that went late into the night was aimed at uniting a region whose leaders have been pulling different directions, and now Laikipia woman representative Catherine Waruguru and Gatundu Member of Parliament Moses Kuria say they are entitled to meeting ahead of 2022 election.
Hata kwa bunge watu watano mnajificha kamera isikuone, kwa sababu tukikutana tunaambiwa tunataka kuua watu, tukikutana tunatafuta kiti ya rais. Sisi mlima tuko na kura 8.5 million. Sisi ndio wengi kwa inchi. Sisi ndio tunalipa ushuru ile mingi kwa hii inchi. Lakini ikifika ni kugawa keki, sisi tunaambiwa nyinyi ni wajinga, nyinyi ni walafi, ondokeni ndio wakuje watutawale.
The meeting comes a week after Uhuru's declaration that he was preparing to exit the stage after his 2 terms end, his remarks already heightening political activities in the region. Despite all indications that the succession talks are ongoing, some legislators from the region are downplaying the narrative, saying that their deliberations are only to have a united mountain, insisting that this type of meetings have just commenced and will not be ending anytime soon.
Tuko na azma ya kuleta watu pamoja. So tumeanza jana na wabunge wanaoegemea pale wakieleweke. Ijumaa inakuja tuko na wabunge ambao wanaegemea upande wa Tanga. Halafu tutafanya mkutano wa kijumla kuleta eneo letu pamoja.
Kwa hivyo ina maana kuna wakati mkutano mmoja utakuwa ukihudhuriwa na Rais Uhuru Kenyatta.
Sijui mambo ya Uhuru Kenyatta, lakini mimi nasema sisi kama wabunge tumeamua ya kwamba tutafanya kazi pamoja. Uwe wakieleweke, uwe Tanga na watu wetu wa serikali tutaunganisha watu pamoja.
Is because mlima iko na adui mmoja ambaye anafikiria anaweza panga mahali yeye ni mfalme, na hii nyumba ya Wakikuyu inakaa ni kama haina mwenyewe. Kuna mtu anafikiria ataingia katikati, atupange, aseme nani atakuwa mbunge, nani atakuwa senator, nani atakuwa governor. Ni kama sisi wenyewe hatuna akili ya kufikiria na kupanga mambo yetu kama Wakikuyu.
Mount Kenya is a vote-rich region with population of over 8 million people and key determinant of the presidential election in the country. And different presidential candidates are already eyeing the region, with Deputy President William Ruto having made substantial inroads. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that report. Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has said that the window for recruiting artisans under the recently launched 1.9 billion shillings school furniture program is still open until next Friday. Now, this follows the lapse of Friday's initial tendering deadline, with Magoha reiterating that the extension will see more artisans enroll into the project. However, queries over the tendering process continue to surface, where some artisans have already been awarded tenders at a time when applications are ongoing.
Artisans who will want to join the 1.9 billion shillings school furniture program that was on Thursday launched by President Uhuru Kenyatta have until Friday to apply for the tenders. This comes a day after the lapse of the initial tendering deadline.
More workshops can be registered, but during that process we shall also be inspecting them to ensure the capacity in order to avoid corruption.
Speaking in Kakamega while inspecting artisan workshops in the county for consideration into the project, Education CS Professor George Magoha said the project that will see up to 650,000 desks locally manufactured will primarily target ordinary carpenters.
This 1.9 billion that is supposed to manufacture this 653,000 desks must not go to contractors, the usual contractors.
Each of the primary school desks will cost 2,500 shillings, while secondary school chairs and lockers will cost 3,800 shillings. 5,254 secondary schools and 5,136 primary schools stand to benefit. This comes amid queries over the tendering of the project, where a number of youth have since been enrolled at a time when submissions for the tenders are still underway. On Thursday, President Uhuru Kenyatta launched the school furniture program after a surprise visit to Dean Achesa's workshop in Umoja Estate, Nairobi. According to the president, the project will not only revamp local Juakali sector, but also enhance preparedness of schools ahead of the looming reopening. The Ministry of Education is set to decide on the reopening of schools on or before September 26th. David Muthoka, TV47.
And Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has clarified that discussions are still underway to introduce assessments for pupils in primary schools when schools reopen. Now, this follows reports that the Kenya National Examinations Council has begun plans to administer national assessments for all pupils after schools reopen. and to evaluate their understanding following several months of closure. Now speaking in Kakamega, Magoha has reiterated that the government has not reached at a final decision, adding that talks are ongoing among various relevant stakeholders on how best to administer the national tests.
I have no authority to talk before I meet our stakeholders, which includes everybody, and before I clear with other people. But I can tell you that we should start keeping our schools clean. We are soon going to tell our teachers to go and make sure that the schools are habitable. And I stop there. The rest, you wait for the process.
Many thanks for staying with us on our Saturday night news. Let's take a short breather. But first, let's take a look at the COVID numbers in the country. Welcome back. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta today made an extensive inspection tour on national government development projects in Mombasa County. Now, Uhuru started his day-long inspection at Liwatoni on Mombasa Island, where the government is constructing the 1.9 billion shillings Likoni pedestrian floating bridge. Now, the 1.2-kilometer bridge, the first of its kind in the region, is at 51% completion rate and will be ready for use by end of the year. Now, the president also visited Liwatoni Fishing Complex, new Kipevu Oil Terminal, and the Kenya Navy base in Mtongwe.
He's on Mombasa Island. Mombasa Port is the
mwananchi ambaye anakaa upande wa Likoni, si ndio? Atakuwa anaweza kuvuka na kufika Lewatoni bila kugojea feri. Tunaelewana? So sasa hutakuwa unaandaliwa mambo yako kwa ati saa ya feri ni saa ngapi. Ni wewe masaa yako na kazi yako ikifika unavuka. Ile itatusimamisha kidogo labda ni meli ikipita, yeah? Lakini ukitaka kama wewe kazi yako ni ya saa 11 unaanza. Kama wewe safari yako ni ya saa 5 unaenda. Hakuna sasa kwenda kugojea, kupiga laini, kufanya nini. Wewe unatoka nyumbani, unaingia kazini, unamaliza kazini, unaenda nyumbani.
It's about delivering to the people. Ni kazi ambayo inafaa ifanywe kwa wananchi. So that is our focus today. Tutafanya mambo ya kubadilisha maisha ya watu ili maisha yenu yaende mbele. Sivyo? So mmefurahi?
Now, the ocean shores are a beautiful sight that attract tourists from across the globe who throng to the seas for a taste of its bliss. However, after all the fun, many forget to clean up and leave the beaches sullied, not knowing the effects this might have, especially to the endangered species. Today being the International Coastal Cleanup Day, the Kenyan coast joined the rest of the world in marking this day with a cleanup activity at the beaches in the coast. Mariam Mwacharo reports.
Due to the growing concern in the rising rate of pollution of the oceans, the International Coastal Cleanup Day was coined with a cleanup exercise every third week of September.
Kwa mambo ya utalii na hata pia maeneo yakiwa masafi ni muhimu kwa kila mwananchi, na pia kila watalii wanapokuja kwa ufuo zetu tutaka wapate fuo zikiwa safi.
Today the Kenyan coast saw different volunteers from various organizations come together for the cleanup exercise that happened at the shore and inside the ocean.
Giving back to the community. After all, we have always been supervising our cohorts huko mtaani wakifanya kazi. Now it's our time to volunteer and do the beach work, do the cleaning at the beach.
Although many organizations came together for the cleanup along the coastal chain from Lamu, Kilifi, Kwale and Mombasa County, many of the volunteers were of the female gender, a crystal sign that more women are being involved in conservation and environmental matters.
Sisi katika kitengo cha uhifadhi, leo ilikuwa ni sikukuu ya kusafisha ufuo za bahari na pia kusafisha chini ya bahari, kuangalia kama kuna taka ndani ya maji, ili kusudi malengo ya kufanya haya ni ensure free trash from our marine park.
Ufuo ule una muhimu sana katika dunia hii. Ufuo ule bila kuangaliwa ukawa safi, mambo mengi yataharibika. Kwanza ufuo ule ni nyumba ya kasa. Ni kasa anakuja kutaga mayai. Haya, binadamu naye haizi kuingia baharini mpaka apitie ufuo.
As the world joins hands to ensure that our beaches and oceans stay clean, Mombasa County was not left behind as it brought scores of different groups to help in the cleaning exercise marking the International Coastal Cleanup Day, all the way from Kwale, Lamu, Kilifi and Mombasa County, as you have been shown by my camera person Rita Gitonga. Reporting for TV 47 from Mombasa County, I am Mariam Mwacharo.
Thank you for that report, Mariam. Now, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has reaffirmed that the new tea regulations are unstoppable, urging KTDA to present their divergent views instead of fighting it out in court. Mogi William reports from Embu County.
Noting that the Gazette tea reforms and regulations are aimed at reducing the cost of production, hence more money in the pockets of tea farmers, Agriculture CS Peter Munya has blasted Kenya Tea Development Authority for being behind the woes of tea farmers.
This movement and reform movement is unstoppable. Watu wanaweza kuspend pesa kuenda kupeana kwa factory ya wakulima waseme nini, na hii ni pesa ya wakulima unaenda kupeana kwa factory.
Munya called on individuals with a divergent opinion on the new tea regulations to feel free and present them before the regulations are implemented.
Kama kuna mapya unataka tuongeze, tupatie, lakini isiwe kisingizio ya kuchukua muda mrefu zaidi bila kutatua shida za wakulima wa mtaani.
Tea farmers in Embu endorsed the new tea regulations under the Crops Tea Industry Regulations 2020, urging KTDA to withdraw their court case.
They should refund and be surcharged for the millions wasted through expensive, unnecessary and time-wasting lawsuits.
Tuwaambie sahi, ile kesi wameweka kwa koti, hiyo koti si ya KTDA.
Legislators present applauded the Ministry of Agriculture for the reforms and regulations, saying that tea farmers have for a long time been exploited by KTDA.
We do not want to lose the gains that we have made over the years. We only want to make things better for our farmers.
With KTDA in court over the new tea reforms, but CS Munya taking issues with them in what he termed as exploitation to tea growers, but assuring farmers that these regulations are set to benefit them. For TV47 in Kanja Runyenjes constituency, Embu County, I am Moige William.
Thank you for that report, Moige William. Many thanks for staying with us here on TV47 on our Saturday night news. Let's take another short breather. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Welcome back. Now, in line with the country's Big Four agenda on food security and nutrition, residents of Wajir and Mandera counties who are predominantly pastoralists are now embracing horticulture following the installation of irrigation projects in the region. Our residents of the two counties began utilizing community water ponds and sinking boreholes constructed by the National Irrigation Authority to provide water in the semi-arid region. Mansa and Lehele projects are some of the irrigation projects in Wajir and Mandera counties implemented by the National Irrigation Authority. Daniel Nzozo, head of communication at the body, says irrigation is a major feature in the sustainability of food security in the region.
Our desire, if you look at the Big Four, one of the main pillars is food and nutrition security. But then we realize that when you provide the water for irrigation, people are able to get food for household level and even surplus to the market. But apart from that, the manufacturing pillar depends mostly on irrigated farming because these raw materials like cotton, like sorghum, they have to come from the farms, and therefore we are contributing directly to the manufacturing pillar.
In Wajir County, about 700 acres of land has been put under irrigation, benefiting about 700 farmers directly.
Wakati wengine tulikuwa tukipanda nyasi hapa tu. Nyasi tu. Tunasema sasa wakati ukame wacha tufunge hapa mifugo iweze kupata nyasi. Lakini wakati National Irrigation Board ilikuja ndio wakatu guide vile tutafanya hii kazi. Na ukweli ni kwamba ndoto imekuwa ya ukweli.
Tulipata mboga kutoka kwetu. Zamani tulikuwa naletewa kutoka down. Lakini sasa hii inapandwa tu hapa kwetu na tunanunua hapa na bei tena ni rahisi. So tunapata hapa kwa area yetu Mansa.
22 irrigation projects covering about 1,240 acres of land have been initiated, benefiting about 1,240 residents directly in Mandera County. Lehele Irrigation Project in Kotulo Sub-County being one of the projects that has seen farmers embrace fruit and vegetable farming.
Tulikuwa tunategemea hii salanga ambayo serikali tuchimbia. Tulikuwa tunafanya na shamba vile mlikuwa mmeona mkazunguka, mamiti zimeanza kukua. Na tegemeo letu kubwa hasa hapa ni salanga peke yake. Hakuna bohol, hakuna salanga nyingine. Ni hii salanga tu ndio jamii inatumia.
Kwa kweli sisi hajui mambo ya shamba mbeleni. Sasa kutoka sisi naanza mpaka mwaka 2 yajayo ndisi amebata kidogo, maembe amebata, kitu kama ingine, kitu kidogo onions, kitu kama kitu kidogo wachunga amebata. Hiyo amebata amemsaidia sisi mzuri sana. Sasa sisi naomba serikali saidie sisi engine ya bohol saidie sisi.
By embracing horticulture farming, Wajir and Mandera residents who have depended on livestock and food aid for the longest time now have an alternative food and income through the irrigation projects. Now, residents of Kurawa area in Magarini Sub-County are protesting against the expansion of a salt manufacturing company near their homes. Now, terming it harmful to the environment, Kurawa Salt Company is being accused of extending and digging its dikes near farms without creating a buffer zone, which is a major health hazard to the nearby community.
Residents in Magarini Sub-County are lamenting strong winds and dust blowing towards their homes, saying it is a major health hazard. Chadi Moringa, a mother of 8 residing next to the Kurawa Salt Company, says they have given the salt farm 14 days to build a wall to act as a buffer zone, or else they will take action as a community.
Wenyeji hapa, wananchi wa hapa, kumbuka, wako na shida sana. Kwa sababu ya baridi imekuwa kali sana. Kuko na baridi kali, kuko na upepo na vumbi lingi, hatuwezi kula hata chakula. Tunataka kama inawezekana atujengee kama ni ukuta hapa, ile baridi ipungue, upepo usiingie tena. Lakini kama hatafanya hivyo, tutachukua uamuzi sisi wenyewe.
Peter Komora, the project coordinator of Malindi Rights Forum, alludes that the investor and the nearby community have had a conflict for over 20 years and families have since been evicted to pave way for the expansion of the dikes. He adds that none of the 6 salt farms have set up a buffer zone to protect the community from the effects of the dust and wind.
Pale kwenye mradi ulipo hakuna buffer zone, hakuna ukigo unaopinga maathari za mazingira ambayo zitalenga katika jamii ile. Hivyo basi takriban miaka miwili inayofuatia, ardhi ya wajamii ambao wametegemea kama nafasi yao ya kutega uchumi itakuwa imeathirika na hawezi kulima.
Kurawa residents are now calling on the government, and particularly the National Environmental Management Authority NEMA, to intervene and ensure the wall is built to block the winds. Nanok Lauren, TV 47.
Let's now get to the sports news. Now, Football Kenya Federation FKF has finally held its county polls after a 6-month wait. However, some contestants have already disputed the process that the FKF would term credible, threatening to take to the courts. Our sports reporter Dennis Otieno followed through the electoral process and now reports.
It has been a long wait for Football Kenya Federation, the Sports Disputes Tribunal, twice quashing county polls, among other grounds of illegible composition of the Electoral Board and inadequate public participation. The patience has paid off. FKF finally held its election on Saturday. Amos Otieno and Dixon Odoyo triumphed in the Nairobi East chairperson and secretary races respectively, as Caleb Molenye and Bernadette Karanja carried the day in Nairobi West.
That the league shall be made to be affordable and is going to have quality. The league must have awards, and we are going to make sure that all the people involved in running the football administration are accountable to who? To the stakeholders.
In Kakamega, Alan Muhanda bagged the chairperson's seat as Tony Kwea, who is also a member of the FKF National Executive Committee, secured the secretary's post. The two have pledged to engineer the growth of football in the region. Narok Peter Karino, Elias Musonkui, and Paul Macy Parmuat won the Narok chairperson, secretary and treasurer races, respectively.
We are going to make sure we produce our deliverables to the maximum. Mpira inaanza katika mashinani, na tutahakikisha kwamba we have our sub-branches in place and football starts from the sub-branches. Hapo ndio tutapata vijana wale ambao ni wadogo, ambao bado wako na passion na nguvu na time ya kucheza mpira. And when we start molding them from that particular point, we are going to make sure kwamba as they come up, they are coming up when they are confident to make sure that they can deliver in any duties that have been given, whether it's in a national team or international teams.
The Narok polls were, however, boycotted by chairperson candidate Naftali Kiroi and his team, who claimed that some of the aspirants were ineligible to contest, threatening to take the battle to the Sports Disputes Tribunal.
Kwa hivyo sisi kama team tumejipanga kuweka kesi kotini. Tunaanza leo, tunatafuta lawyer ambaye ashafika already, tuunde kila kitu, alafu tuweze kuweka hizo kesi kotini on Monday. Tunahakikisha, tunaamini ya kwamba lazima haki itendeke.
FKF Electoral Board Chairperson Kenti Stikolo has however hailed the electoral process as successful and credible, despite earlier hitches in the counties of Mombasa, Kisumu and Laikipia.
And I'm extremely happy about the way the elections have gone, because they've actually gone according to plan. We promised the country a free, fair and transparent election of international standards, and that is exactly what we have delivered.
The national elections are set for October 17th.
The promises had been made, the ballot has been cast. What remains a major responsibility for the newly elected members is the new face they shall bring to football in the country. This as we await the national level elections. Dennis Otieno, TV47 Sports.
Thank you for that report, Dennis. Now, new promoted West Brom lost a second consecutive Let me sample a few of your feedback. HK, thank you so much for watching. Henry Osembo, thank you so much for watching. Lydia Masiga, thank you for staying with us. Joaquin Wesonga, Motari Vincent, thank you so much for watching. I'll be seeing you again tomorrow. Have a very good night. My name is Mombichege. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Faith Cheptile. Do have a blessed night.